It has been an unprecedented year. Crazy. With all the
stuff.
Yeah.
It's unprecedented how many times we've actually heard the word unprecedented.
Our dream vacation was canceled.
You got to keep the job you don't like.
You know they can see you?
But let me tell you all the no's, friends. No going to restaurants, no movie theaters, no movie theater popcorn, no state parks, no going to athletic events, no church services, and no...
Don't say it. Don't.
Hey, kids! You've got to be more careful with the toilet paper. This is all we have.
All the drive-by birthday parties, graduations, baby showers.
I will say this, I thought it was a little awkward throwing out that baby shower gift into the front yard.
You weren't supposed to do that.
It just feels like a wasted year. There, I said it.
Yeah, there's just all the time at home. Boom!
And all the time that we were made to spend together. Hey, honey? Honey!
Leave me alone! All the heart-to-hearts. Goodness.
Speaking of hearts, our son, Jason, right over there, said yes to Jesus. Right at that kitchen table.
July 17th, 2020.
You know, I guess it's not really wasted time because God didn't waste a moment of it.
I think I have the answer to what I'm thankful for.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is it?
Everything.
Everything.
Give thanks in all things. And this morning, it's going to be a little different service. Our message this morning is going to be from about 6 or 7 different people. And each one will have their, allotted time. I guess take whatever time they need. And first of all, in order to lead this off, will be Debbie and myself, I suppose. Most of this will be from Debbie, I think, but I try to throw my 2 cents in. And Scott. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Scott, you're supposed to read Scripture.
Okay, today's scripture is from Romans 12, verses 9 through 16. Love. Love must be sincere. Hate is what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited.
Thanks, Scott. And now, of course, what I said earlier will take place.
Well, I'll try to get through this because I'd have to say, for some reason today, all I want to do is cry. But, you know, as I told Taryn yesterday, that Taryn kind of felt the same way, and I said, Taryn, it's a woman thing, just blame it on hormones, because that's all we ever do. It's just a roller coaster all the time. So, anyway, Heather, those songs were just spot on this morning, just absolutely beautiful. It's amazing how God works. That what if, you'll see that I have that in what I have to say. So God speaks in so many ways through us. It has been a year of events happening differently, but still happening. I didn't really have a lot of cancellations in this year of 2020. January brought us our granddaughter Harper. She set the precedent for the year 2020 for us. Thank God for her. It was a true blessing from God, and she was a miracle. We call her our little petri dish baby because, as you all know, Danielle had great difficulty getting pregnant, and she and Brian had to go through IVF, and so Harper was made in a little petri dish. So you can explain that to your kids however you want to. February, little did we know, was actually our last normal month. Terry and I were anxiously awaiting our annual trip to Pirate Training Camp in Florida. We were heading there for the 1st of March. March came and our trip was planned and had arrived, and we equipped ourselves with plenty of Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer, triple antibiotic ointment for the airport. I'll tell you what we used that for later, but not now. And our plane ride to Tampa. We had a good trip and we returned home unscarred. March 13th, Friday the 13th, by the way. I'm not a superstitious person, but it happened on Friday, the 13th, March 13th, 2020. All schools in Maryland closed and students would start learning virtually, and teachers would teach through a virtual tool called Google Classroom. At first I thought, wow, this is great. I get to teach from home, I get to spend more time with Harper, and pretty much enjoy a more flexible schedule. But the weeks turned into months, and my feelings about being home every day was not as positive as they were in the beginning. I missed the normal way of teaching. I miss seeing my students, my coworkers, complaining about parents, grading hard copies of work that students had done, not digital worksheets. And Harper was only consuming about 2 of my days a week. And I began to struggle. I felt very isolated, having no control over my new way of living. Nothing had really changed for Terry at Rigid Pie. Yeah, he was wearing a mask every day, and he was making his coffee from his desk. He had taken in a microwave and set it in his office area, warming his food up that way, but really his life had not changed. He was in a pretty normal work environment. I think I was jealous of that. I was heading down the what if road. What if this is my new normal? What if I get COVID? What if someone in my family does? Which I was petrified for both of my daughters. What if this and what if that happens? Satan has such a sly way of easing fear into our life when we start saying, what if? In the midst of all of this, we were trying to plan a wedding that had gone from 300 guests to 14. But we did have the wedding, mask and all. And it was just as beautiful and meaningful with 14 as it would have been with 300. I continued to struggle with my normal life, feeling upside down as far as my teaching career. But I've continued on, and God has remained faithful. Can't say that enough. His normalcy in my life had not gone anywhere. He was still the same as pre-pandemic as he is during the pandemic, and I'm 100% sure he will stay the same post-pandemic. He has worked through Terry every day as I feel his love and support through my husband. And I thank Terry for that, because I have been a pain to live with. God never changes, and he remains faithful. As we progressed throughout the year, we received another blessing, another granddaughter, Quinn Maisie. We call them the Irish twins because they're only 8 months apart. So they are, it's just crazy for me to think about. God is so good, but once again, the pandemic put a different twist on this event. With Harper, Taryn and I were allowed in the hospital in Danielle's room, and we were there for it all. But with Taryn, we were not. I was very agitated, once again, because my baby was having a baby and I was not allowed in the hospital. How dare they? God, knowing me the way he does, planted a wonderful idea in my head. I picked up the phone, I ordered a dozen pink balloons, and Terry, Danielle, and Harper and I took off for Ruby in Morgantown. And with Taryn, Brent, and Quinn at the hospital window, we released the balloons. So here we are coming into December. And once again, I continue to be frustrated with the inconsistency of teaching students that have gone, once again, from face-to-face teaching to totally virtual. But through it all, God remains my rock and faithful. And he has not only shown me blessings from heaven through Harper and Quinn, but he has also shown me how to trust him more through a time that I have no control over. I think that's one of my big issues, no control. It doesn't matter if it's Google Classroom, Schoology, or teaching in my pajamas, which I have done. God is good. And I love the verse of Hebrews 13, 5-6, that tells me to be content with what I have, because God has said, never will I leave you, and never will I forsake you. Thank you.
I did not know what I was going to say until just a few seconds ago, so we all have different callings in life. Come on, Terry. Sometimes I just can't speak for a little bit. But anyway, we all have different callings in life, and for some reason, for almost my entire life, God has blessed me with stability. To help others, and I don't know why. Even during a pandemic, my life doesn't change much. And yeah, Debbie has been through a lot more than we ever let on. Doggone it. I hate whenever I cry, because I don't make sense. But anyway, he's put me there to help her through this. But I've had stability most of my life, but he has shaken me up every once in a while. And 5 years ago, he shook me up for about 6 months. A friend of mine, Phil Workman, had leukemia. Anyway, come on, get it together. And Heather's song this morning got me to going down this road, because at Phil's funeral, they played that song. And I talked to him just a couple of days before he died. Him and I played a lot of softball together, and we always talked back and forth, and it was good. He was a friend of mine that became a Christian later in life. And I was so happy that he did, because he told me some things over the phone when he had quit taking any kind of treatments and decided it was time for him to leave this world, because the treatments weren't doing anything to help him. And that song was played at his funeral, and about blessings in disguise. So anyway, I've been blessed this year in the same way, and Phil helped me that during a tough time, but he's also the one that sent me down that tough time because of his death and seeing him suffer like he did. But what he taught me through that time, and is everything that the Bible teaches, and our theme verse came from this as well, because I brought this to the worship committee 2 years ago, that I thought this would be a great theme verse for us. But through talking to him, he taught me things about enjoy life, don't fear it, which I knew that anyhow. But he really showed me, he gave me that example. Enjoy it for what it is, because God created it for you. Joy is chosen. You can have joy, it's chosen. And throughout this year, We need to choose joy. Don't be anything, just be. Control your thoughts. Think, positive thoughts, facts, rational. Meditate on what is good, what is right, what is pure. Think of those things. Trust and believe that. Jesus is with you because he is, and he says he is. And look forward to tomorrow. And that is the one thing that I have been blessed with throughout this year, is to look forward to tomorrow and all the things, even though all the things are going on. So I'm sorry for that emotional display here, but I have a list of who is next. And so, Becky, I think you were here to share for Joanna, I do believe.
I was asked to share for Joanna Yoder, who's a very special member of our congregation here and been a very special person to me in the past few years, lots of years. She has written, "Blessings create thankfulness" is definitely a true statement. When I get discouraged, I pause to thank God for all my blessings. This past year has been very stressful. I thank my church family for all the senior meals they provided. I thank my faithful church friend who calls me every day, and for church friends who surprised me with bags of food and goodies, which we enjoyed for several days. All of this has helped Earl, who has been so faithful in taking care of me. Thank you all for your love, prayers, cards, and phone calls. Even in our discouraging times, God is so faithful. You folks help make the burden lighter. God bless each one of you. Joanna Yoder.
I think those that are coming up have a list of the order you're to come up in. So I'm going to leave the stage and you just continue to flow.
I thought I was the only one having a hard time not crying this morning. So I'm reading a book by A.W. Tozier called Paths to Power. And I want to start by just sharing the first few paragraphs of chapter 4 called Miracles Follow the Plow. Break up your fallow ground, for it's time to seek the Lord till he come and rain righteousness upon you. Hosea 10:12. Here are two kinds of ground, fallow ground and ground that has been broken up by the plow. The fallow field is smug, contented, protected from the shock of the plow and the agitation of the harrow. Such a field as it lies year after year becomes a familiar landmark to the crow and the blue jay. Had it intelligence, it might take a lot of satisfaction in its reputation. It has stability. Nature's adopted it. It can be counted upon to remain always the same while the fields around it change from brown to green and back to brown. Safe and undisturbed, it sprawls lazily in the sunshine, the picture of sleepy contentment. But it is paying a terrible price for its tranquility. Never does it see the miracle of growth. Never does it feel the motions of mounting life, nor see the wonders of bursting seed, nor the beauty of ripening grain. Fruit it can never know because it's afraid of the plow and the harrow. In direct opposition to this, the cultivated field has yielded itself to the adventure of living. The protecting fence has opened to admit the plow, and the plow has come as plows always come, practical, cruel, businesslike, and in a hurry. Peace has been shattered by the shouting farmer and the rattle of machinery. The field has felt the travail of change. It has been upset, turned over, bruised, and broken, but its rewards come hard upon its labors. The seed shoots up into the daylight, its miracle of life, curious, exploring the new world above it. All over the field, the hand of God is at work. In the age-old and ever-renewed service of creation, new things are born to grow, mature, and consummate the grand prophecy latent in the seed when it entered the ground. Nature's wonder follows the plow. The blessings of 2020 in my life have been rich and abundant, characterized by new growth. Much like a plow that has broken tranquil ground, the changes and challenges of 2020 haven't been, nor are not, easy. What they have done is cultivate my heart and allow God to plant fruit, the fruit of the Spirit. At work, I've had to learn new ways to reach out and to engage students. I've become far more familiar with their home situations and challenges and have learned to use technologies that will continue to be part of my teaching even after virtual learning is long gone. I've been blessed with opportunities to learn and grow as a teacher in ways I never would have bothered if it weren't for virtual learning. Through this experience, God is planting the fruit of patience. At home, I've been given the gift of time with family, especially Elijah. He might not consider that such a gift. In the spring, when both school and his karate studio were closed, we spent precious time together, time that parents of grown children will tell you can never be enough. I'm watching him grow and mature, and as a result of his hard work and training while he was home this spring, I watched him earn his junior black belt in karate. And even now, as I'm in one room on one computer teaching classes and he's in the next room taking them, I'm able to share in a part of his life that without COVID I would not have been able to see. Through this experience, God is planting the fruit of joy. AJ and I have also been able to watch as God has provided for AJ in times of uncertainty with his job. As you know, restaurants have gotten a bad rap in the midst of all of this. Despite it all, we've been blessed. Through this experience, God is planting the fruit of faith. As we walk through the last 3 months of 2020, I know the plow is still at work. Because of God's faithfulness and the time I've been able to spend in his word, I'm certain that even now he's planting the fruit of hope. No matter what happens, God is in control and his blessings are certain, even in the midst of uncertainty.
I was asked to share some thoughts from Anna Yoder. She writes, "There are always blessings in everything. As I look back over year 2020, I believe the first and foremost blessing has been my family. On November 5th, I have been here in assisted living for 1 year. When I got the call that they have an opening, a room on the first floor, which I requested, I felt led to move here. The children weren't asking me, would you go, do you want to go, or why don't you go? It was my decision. Of course, I talked with them about it. If this is what I wanted to do, they were behind me 100%. And they also would have done anything else to keep me at home if that's what I wanted. So that was blessing number 1. I thank God for the blessing of family. My children and their spouses, my grandchildren and their spouses, and my 3 wonderful great-granddaughters. In late February, I had a muscle slip high in my neck, which took months to heal. In fact, it hasn't totally healed. After it was finally better, I saw the blessing of healing, even when it was a slow process. I had gout 5 times since I'm here. After each time, I am so grateful for the blessing of healing. I also have found the blessing in listening. I shared with Johnny on the phone one day that when I came here, I thought, now I'm not worth much, but I was so wrong. I find many people just need someone to listen to them. One day someone told me it was no one's business what their relationship is with God, but on the way out that day at the door, the comment was, please pray for me. Thank God for blessings. Anna Yoder.
Almost feel like I should apologize if I don't make anybody cry. I'm sorry. Try to end on a positive note here. No, I was watching you guys come up, and I was thinking, what in the world did April get me into? She told me a couple weeks ago, I guess 2 weeks ago, Jeff had kind of asked about this, and I didn't give her an answer. And I thought she said it was 2 to 5 minutes, and I started thinking, so I'm thinking, a minute 45, let's kind of, so she asked me again this morning, have you prepared something? Because she was this week, she was crunching this. I thought it was cool, and here she's working on this project for this. I'm like, holy cow, I didn't, it's 7:15 this morning. I haven't started yet, so. But with all that being said, so this year, I did accept a new position in the restaurant business. A lot of you probably know, which was kind of interesting timing. The position is I'm the area manager, so over Clarksburg and Kaiser and Oakland. And by July the 4th, around July the 4th, I was really questioning, the stability, the future of not so much my role, but the 120 employees that I have in these 3 stores, and that kind of scared me, what was going to happen. So I questioned what would happen with them, and I wasn't real hopeful, and there was an uncertainty with the future. So that took me to the verse that I actually kind of prayed upon, and I'll tell you, ironically, it took me to the verse that's on the front of your bulletin. But you see, Jeremiah 29:11 tells us, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And that's the verse that came to my mind. So over this time, I've been in the restaurant business. I should say I've had one main mentor. He'd been with me like 20 years, and he kind of left corporate America last year, so to speak. He's a really great Christian guy. He mentored me in a lot of different areas in my life. And he just came to me one day out of the blue and said, "Hey, I'm leaving, this was last year, I'm leaving corporate America. I know I'm tossing away a lot of money." And I said, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I've had a calling. I'm going into the ministry. I'm going to be a part-time pastor." So however you look at it, my position amidst COVID and this year was only made possible, kind of by default through God, because he went on to the ministry, and thus the position I'm in now was because of that. So I don't really look at 2020 as depressing, and I don't think a lot of you do either. But there are a lot of stories, a lot of other stories I could tell about last year. But really, this has been a great year for our family overall. I think April touched on Elijah went on to get his black belt, so that was great. He went on to, take the best deer thus far he's ever taken, killed a beautiful 10-point. And I had a great year with a buck. I had to mention the deer, Terry. I'm sorry. I had to squeeze that in there. But anyway, it really was a great year. And through all this, April's been amazing. She's been a great support system. So because I did have moments where I need encouragement, she's cheered me on multiple times. So she's done that, and also she cheered me on, but she's also brought me back down to earth several times as well. 2020, there have been a lot of blessings in spite of COVID, and I know there's been some emotional lows, but there's also been some emotional highs. It's a year we can definitely learn from, and they say the new normal. Hopefully not for too long. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to be speaking from the balcony. My biggest blessing is knowing that I know Jesus and my husband and my family, and the things that my husband does for me, good back rubs and foot massages. He provided a warm home and food to eat. I am thankful that we are one in Christ, because at the beginning of our marriage we were not. I'm thankful that we do read the Bible together as a couple. And through this COVID stuff, I mean, it really grounds you when you stick with reading the Word, because it gives you a scenario that a lot of times those people back in the Bible times were no different than what we are today. And I'm glad that I found Norwex, because it decreases the dependency on the chemicals that are used to disinfect and clean up, which is better for your health. And I'm thankful for God's love for me, because I did not know him till I was 28, I believe, if I was. And I'm also thankful that his mercies are renewed each morning and abounding in his infinite grace. Thank you.
Hey, Jay, you took the words out of my mouth. I probably am not going to cause too many tears myself. Everybody comes up, I do want to say one thing. Or maybe two. You can't hear me? Mike's up there, I thought he was waving in an airplane. Okay. I just want to say that COVID is here, and I refuse to live in fear. I refuse to live in worry, and I refuse to be hypocritical. I'm not going to do it. I know it's been here, but I celebrated life before COVID. I'm celebrating life during COVID. I'm going to celebrate life after COVID. I promise you I will. And when I die, whether COVID takes me or a car wreck takes me or I get shot in the woods, I want you to sing, "There's power in the blood." I don't want you to sing it loud. I don't want you to sing "Unclouded Day," and I want you to sing "Standing on a Rock." I want that. That's what I want. Because that is where we're at, people. That's what we got to do. We're Christian soldiers. It's going to be tough. But you can't cower back. You can't. It's a sin. It is a sin. So I just want to throw that out there. And in the meantime, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what it's like to be Earl Yoder. I don't know. He's 86 years old. I don't know what that's like to live at that age, knowing that you're in that group, that target group, and you have all your friends passing away. You got a lot of different perspectives. But Earl's standing strong, and he wrote a thank you, and he wrote a Thanksgiving note, and somebody wanted me to read it, so I'm going to read it to you. The year 2020 has been quite a year for the Yoders. It started out well enough, but then along came COVID-19 and Joanna's health issues. At the end of March, I dropped Joanna off the emergency room door of Allegheny General Hospital where she had brain surgery. I did not see her until 3 weeks later when I picked her up from the hospital. I'm very thankful for the skilled medical staff who cared for her. I'm especially grateful for the compassionate, dedicated surgeon who kept me informed of Joanna's progress. As the year progressed, Joanna was hospitalized 2 more times for different issues. During the year, our church family and friends were very helpful, for which we are very grateful. When times are most bleak, God's love shines through in many ways. I can identify with David as he expresses himself in Psalms 13, 1, 5, and 6. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? Verse 5 and 6, but I trusted your mercy. My heart shall rejoice for your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has bountifully dealt with me. I leave you with the words from Psalms 103:1. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name, and forget not all of his benefits. Earl Yoder. Sorry, I have 2 different lists that I'm paying attention to. One doesn't have that on it. But anyway, I'd like to open it up this morning to anyone else that wasn't on the list of 7 people to come forward to, if you have anything that you'd like to share? Any blessings? Because after all, this morning it is titled Blessings Create Thankfulness. If not, we will have a closing song. And then Lynn will do benediction.